There are hedge fund managers making $1 million an hour. You know, it's crazy, right? It's money everywhere. It's money in everything. I want to help you. Start your business today. Come join my royal family. Subscribe to Casino is the name. Hey, yo, what's going on right now? You're watching Casino is the Name, and I'm sitting here with none other than the legendary Tim Mercer. All right, so Tim, you know what? I'm gonna let you explain who you are because he does a lot.
Well, thank you, man. And first of all, it's a pleasure to be on the podcast. I've been following your podcast for a while. Of course, Gene and his team introduced me to you, man. So you're doing some great things. So it's a pleasure to be on the podcast. So yeah, my name is Tim T. Mercer. I wrote a book, Bootstrap Millionaire. But just to kind of, give you an overview of who I am. Listen, in the grand scheme of things, I'm just a country boy from the South, right?
Right.
Grew up in the South. And was fortunate enough to be able to do some great things for myself in business, right? I own two businesses. I own an IT company and also own a finance company. And of course, what we're going to be talking about today is government contracting, which my IT company does. But yeah, I mean, just a good old country boy who has done, who's been blessed and fortunate enough to do well for himself. So I'm just excited to be on the podcast and share some of my insights to the folks, to your audience.
Okay, so now the title of your book, Bootstrap Millionaire.
Yeah.
And it, pretty much makes you wonder, are you a millionaire? I'm gonna ask the right questions.
Right, yeah. No worries about that. Well, listen, when I created when we wrote the book, the original title was actually supposed to be Bootstrap Entrepreneur, right?
Okay.
And so of course we changed the title to Bootstrap Millionaire, and yes, when we look at net worth and things of that nature,
Right.
I'm fortunate enough to be in that category. But
Yeah.
it really not the title of the book is not to try to glout, to showcase myself, right? It was really to be able to grab the attention of people, right?
Right, that's what it
because
is.
what's the most important part of the title is the word bootstrap, right? Because hopefully it will let people know that if a country boy like me from the South, who didn't know nothing about entrepreneurship,
Right.
who grew up with no money, right, grew up poor, family was poor and all that type of stuff, if I can take advantage of some of the things that life has to offer, and particularly in this country, and be able to, make enough money to be able to get into that category, then it's just a testament that everybody else can do it as well, right? But I will say that growing up, I used to think $1 million was a lot of money. Let me tell you right now, $1 million is not a lot of money.
Not a lot of money.
You know what I mean? So even though the title may impress people and it may sound cool when people throw out the word millionaire, but I've come to learn that $1 million is not a lot of money.
Right.
And I think over time, most of us over the course of life end up touching $1 million anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
So
For sure.
so in the end, I think we all are millionaires.
Yeah, well, $1 million is not like if you have made $1 million,
Right.
You're not necessarily a millionaire if tomorrow you spend $1 of it, right?
That's exactly
So
right.
the net worth and all of the assets and things like that, once you value those things, if you're a millionaire after all of that, you're doing something right.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's right.
But the reason I was saying that because it's a lot of people who do videos or say things on YouTube or in Twitter Spaces about how successful they are, but they really are just using titles or saying things because they want people to assume. But he is an actual real business person. It's a beautiful office. We're gonna show that as well on another video. But I just wanted to clarify, like, he is the real thing,
Yeah. No, and you make a good point. I mean, you get a lot of people.
Yeah, he downplays it, right? Like, he's like, wait.
Yeah.
But no, so that's important for some people as far as like, I have friends and I say, how many millionaires do you know? And they like, somebody may say 2, somebody may say 3. Nobody ever says I know 20 millionaires or I have a millionaire I can call and speak to and ask how you actually even got
Mm-hmm.
here. So, and some of those people who they may know who are millionaires might be like NFL players or
Right,
something like
yeah.
that. They don't know anybody who did it through business and they can do the same thing without having to be some kind of amazing talent or have, being able to sing or
That's
rap
right.
or whatever. So to know that you can do it with just your intellect and just your willpower and things like that, that's what this book represents to me.
That's right, yeah.
What you represent to me.
That's right, yeah. That's the bootstrap part.
That's the bootstrap part, right.
That's right,
Yeah,
yeah.
so you can do it too.
Absolutely.
All right, so, okay. So how did you get into government contracts?
So it's ironically, man, I started out doing independent contract work as an IT guy, right? So when I first got out of college, because I went to DeVry, got out of college, about 2 years after I got out of college, after working for a company, I decided to go independent. And that was really my first introduction to entrepreneurship. But now I realized that I wasn't an entrepreneur. I was really a solopreneur, right? Because I was in business for myself and by myself. Right, because I was doing all the work. I'm traveling, doing all
self-employed.
Self-employed. Right, yeah. And there's nothing wrong with being self-employed, but I realized that it was hard for me to scale because, I'm out there doing the contracts. I'm out there, hustling, traveling, flying around the country. I mean, I kept getting stuck at that $250,000 to $300,000 mark, and I really couldn't scale. And as I started getting older, because I'm 52 now. When I started getting older, I started realizing, man, I can't keep doing this right over and over again. And ironically enough, my wife came home one day. This was like in 2011, and told me about one of her girlfriends who was telling her about government contracting. And I really didn't know much about it, but I'm always a very inquisitive person, right? So when she told me about it, I said, maybe I need to look into this. And I started going to the GT packs, the PTACs, which we all know about, and started going there and started learning about government contracting, what it was about, how the government do certain things. And in 2012 is when I got my business registered with the government, ended up getting into the 8-8 program, which is phenomenal, SBA 8-8 program, which is a phenomenal program. And things really started taking off for me then. Been doing it ever since.
Okay,
yeah.
So let's go back to the 8-8, right? Because I actually did a video telling people, get the 8-8 certification, right?
Yeah.
So, but you've gone through the program.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, what's the rules around the 8-8 program? Like, what is the 8-8 program?
Yeah. So the 8-8 program is it's a program administered by the SBA. It's a minority program. It's a program for minority-owned businesses, right? And with the government buys everything. The government buys is bought from contractors, right? And the government wants to do business with small businesses. And particularly minority-owned businesses, what the 8-8 program does is it basically allows the government to take certain contracts and set them aside, right? That's what you heard the term set aside. Set them aside for businesses that fall into that category or businesses that have that certification. And so the 8-8 program basically allows you as a small business to get contracts up to $4 million in value as a direct award or a sole source. Basically, the government can justify giving, or I wouldn't say giving, but just awarding you that contract as long as you can perform and provide the products and services. They can award you that contract without having a lot of competition. Right, so it's a great program for minority-owned businesses, and I tell people all the time, if you are a small minority-owned business and you're not doing business with the government, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Absolutely.
And as a African-American-owned small business, to me personally, the 8-8 is the closest thing that we're going to get to reparations. Right?
Wait. I want y'all to hear this, right? Because I said that in another video with JT Automations. JT Hustles. Mm-hmm. So I said that same statement and people were upset with me. Because
I don't understand why.
They have no idea what it is.
Right.
And so that by itself, they're like, no, we want our river. It's like, y'all don't even understand. You don't understand the gravity. Can you please explain how much time you have to be in the program,
Yeah.
but how much money is possible
Yeah.
that you can make in the
Well, the program itself is a 9-year program. So you have 9 years to be in the program. And as I said, you can be awarded or you can get contracts up to $4 million without any competition, meaning that you don't have to go out and compete for these contracts. You can, as long as you can show the government that you can perform and deliver, then the government can award you that contract up to $4 million.
Now, if let's say the government awards me a $4 million contract, right? Mm-hmm. Is that the only contract that I can?
No, you can get multiple. No, you can get multiple.
So I can get multiple $4 million contracts.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
In 1 year.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so what's the cap of the program? Is there a certain amount that I can make up to?
Well, there's certain caps on the NATES code, right? You know your NATES code is just basically a code that identifies the type of work you're doing. Yeah. So certain NATES codes have a cap, but I mean, you probably won't hit those things. I mean, like for example, some NATES codes have a cap of 25 million over the course of 3 years, which means within that NATES code, you have a cap of like 25 million that you can make in that.
I mean, in the 9 years, like does the 8A program?
Oh no, there is no cap within the 9 years. No.
Okay.
And in fact, if you think about it, I mean, so you've heard of so the top 3 black billionaires in this country. You have Robert Smith, right? The other gentleman, the second gentleman, is by the name of David Stewart, right? Okay. David Stewart is the chairman of a company called Worldwide Technologies, right? Okay. Very large billion-dollar company that does IT services. Mm-hmm. David Stewart started out in the 8A program.
Oh wow!
That's how his business started, and that's how he grew his business.
That's crazy.
So there are a lot of minority-owned companies that have come through the 8A program and have turned into.
I just meant like I heard it was like $100 million cap in the program while you were in the program.
Well, what you're talking about, the $100 million cap is so. There is the 8/8s like us, African Americans, minorities. Mm-hmm. That's what they call individually owned 8/8s, meaning that me, Tim Mercer, an African American, I own a company, and because I'm African American, that company now can be considered and qualify for the 8/8 program, right? So we have a cap of $4 million per contract with no ceiling on the number of contracts. There's another group of 8/8s, what many of us call the super 8/8s, which are Alaskan Native, Indian, in Native Indians, Hawaiians, right? Yeah. They are what they call super 8/8s, but they are corporately owned 8/8s, meaning that like an Alaskan Native, it's tribal. They're tribal, so they tribal will be considered an 8/8. They can go up to $100 million sole source or direct award, particularly within the DoD. They can go up to $100 million with no competition, right? Wow. And I've done a lot of business with those type of 8/8s. Yeah, because contracts
still available for
right. Yeah, because a lot of times, when you teaming, I would team up with a lot of time with them, because if I run across a contract that was over the $4 million threshold for me, I would team up with a tribal, and we would team up, and I still get to participate in the contract. Yeah. And now we're going for bigger contracts.
You see where I'm at right now, right? You see who I'm talking to. Right. All right, yeah, we finna, yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right, so. Okay, now I was online trying to do some research about you before I came to this interview, right?
Yeah.
And, we had previously spoke before, and just even, I guess it was like an old synopsis of what you had done, but it said that your business had done up to 60 million.
Yes, yeah.
So where are you now?
We're a little over 75 million now year to date. Yeah.
Year to date?
Yeah. So since being in government contracting to where we are today, right?
Right.
Our revenue is total revenue is over 75 million.
75 million.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
75 million. I want y'all to
Yeah.
understand. You may not, you like, not to brag or anything.
Yeah.
But people need to see this.
Yeah. But I mean,
75 million
and that's
government
good. Don't get me
contracts.
wrong.
I mean, that's revenue.
Yeah, that's revenue.
Yeah.
And
That's great.
and that's great. And the key though is there's no way I would have been able to do that type of revenue doing business with regular corporations. Right.
Exactly
And I've tried to do that. Right. When I was an independent consultant, I worked with companies, some of your large companies, AT&T and, Verizon, all those companies doing work on their projects. But I was always a subcontractor to a larger company.
Gotcha.
The contracts that I have, being a government contractor, are all prime contracts. I'm not a subcontractor. I don't sub to anyone. I am the prime contractor.
Yes,
I mean,
know that big
large companies have subbed to my company.
Yeah.
And so,
Nice.
and even though 75 million over the course of the last 10 years sounds great, and it is great, don't get me wrong, I thank God for it. But it's such a small number in comparison to how much money the government spends.
I know. Right. You know who Isaac Barnes is, right?
Say again?
Isaac Barnes?
Yes, Isaac. Yeah.
13.4 billion.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh,
Actually, he lives in my building in Buckhead. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yo,
Yeah. He's a cool brother. Yeah. I know.
Man, if you know him, man, I want to get this interview.
Absolutely. Yeah. We can set it. I can help you. I can help you set it up.
Bring that to the
I can help you set it.
Right?
Yeah. I can help you.
That's crazy.
Yeah. He's a cool guy. He's a real cool guy.
Dang, that's crazy. So but for me, the biggest check I ever got was from the government.
Yes.
Doing government contracts. I just got it.
Yeah.
It was like 65,000.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you've seen bigger checks.
Yeah.
But for me, that's crazy.
That's great. No.
That's crazy.
Because you just started, right? I mean, you just left your job
like 2 months ago.
bro. I mean, that's outstanding.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's absolutely. Because my first 2 years in government contracting, I didn't make any money because I was learning. I was learning the game. Right. So if you just started out and you just started 2 months and you've already won contracts like that, that's great. Because
I'm subbing.
But that's still good. That's still good though, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because I often tell people when you first start out, I mean, you hear people talking about the big numbers, the 10 million, the big numbers and things of that nature. Focus on the small numbers, right? When I first started, my ultimate goal, because what we do is we sell IT hardware and software to the government, right? And that's all we do. We don't, we just sell IT hardware and software. My ultimate goal when I first started was, man, if I could just make $1,000 a day in profit, right?
Yeah.
That's all I want to do. So when I'm out there bidding on contract, I just said because that would help me replace my consulting income.
Yeah.
But then it just I started out with $30,000 contracts, then it went to $50,000. Then from $50,000 it went to $100,000, and then it just starts scaling up. And then once I started building the infrastructure that I needed to support the growth, then we started getting into 5 million, 10 million. I mean, up to the point where we've done upwards of $50 million contracts.
Wow.
So
50 million.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What are you doing? If you're not doing government contracting, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So I think I had kind of made my mind up because I was a federal employee.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of had made my mind up, had looked around at a lot of stuff. I did real estate. I've done all of that kind of stuff. I think real estate is great for me to park money.
Yeah.
Once I've made the money.
Once you make, it's a great investment too.
It's great to hold, to tax purposes, residual income, that kind of thing. But if I was going to really run out there and go get some big money, I had to find something else, like a way more active business. So I started doing government contracts, and I was mainly just trying to say, let me just replace my salary, because once I'm able to do that, I can really focus on this and try to scale up. Mm-hmm. But when I met you and Karen, y'all told me, a couple million over 4 years or this much. I was like, yo, what?
Yeah.
I think she was like 12 million in 4 years.
That's right. Yeah.
And I was like, man, I'm done.
Yeah. Her and
I
her.
went to work like, hey,
yeah.
I'm already gone.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out when I get my first contract.
Yeah. She coined the phrase that I often tell people. And Karen is Karen's, and you probably see on Instagram, is a good friend of ours as well. Yeah. But she coined the phrase, if you want to make millions, you need to do business with customers that spend millions.
Well, I like that.
And that's a very important thing because, I mean, if you're trying to make millions, you got to be doing business with people that spend millions. Right. And the government, in my opinion, in comparison to large corporations, the government has to, the best that they can, they have to try to level the playing field. So any contract that the government puts out there, they initially put it out for small businesses first.
I didn't know that.
Oh, they have to, right? Oh, wow. I mean, of course, unless you get into certain things that small businesses just can't do, right? But initially, they put it out for smalls first to find out if a small business can do it, right? And that's the rule of two. You probably heard of the rule of two, that if two small businesses raise their hand and say, hey, I can do this, according to the FAR, which is the Federal Acquisition Regulations, they have to make it a small business set aside. The problem is there just isn't enough small businesses that are raising their hand and saying they can do it.
It's not enough that exists.
Yeah.
Even with so let's just say they did give out reparations.
Yeah, right.
Let's just say PPP loan was similar to reparations, right?
I think PPP probably was the closest you're going to get to reparations.
So money goes out. You know who became the richest person on the planet?
Who that?
It was all IT guys at first.
Oh, yeah.
But after PPP, it was, I think, Arnault.
Yeah.
Arnault, the guy who owns Dior and Louis Vuitton.
Oh,
he became
now that's interesting.
On the planet because everybody went out and bought all these luxury items.
Yeah.
Right? And so, let's say you did get reparations. There's not enough businesses for you. If you were a black doctor, you get you get your big check and you go home. When you leave work, you got to put gas in your car. Mm-hmm. It's typically the gas, the car that you ride in. None of those are black-owned businesses.
Right.
So you automatically start spending the money. You got to pay, even when you're paying your mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
The mortgage is probably financed by a non-black organization.
Absolutely, yeah.
So everything that you do in your entire life, you eventually are going to spend your money outside of the black race.
Right.
We have no choice because it's not enough businesses for us to even spend money with.
Right, yeah.
Right? So I'm like, yo, go start a business.
Yes.
I don't care what it is. Start something.
Right.
Give us some options.
That's right.
Because we can't even get a luxury car like Mercedes. You can get Mercedes, Lexus, whatever. Mm-hmm. We don't have any.
That's a good point.
Affordable or even nationally recognized or anything like that. So we got to start some businesses.
Yeah, and I think financial literacy is so important. And, and shout out to all the people that are doing financial literacy on the various YouTubes and platforms, because I think that is helping. Because look, I mean, if you don't know what to do with the money, then if someone gave you $1 million and you don't know what to do with it.
Right.
Then the only thing you're going to do is end up giving it back to them, right? And trust me, I'm that example, right? I mean, I talk about it in my book where I think it was in the late '90s, going into early 2000. I mean, I had over $1 million saved just sitting in the bank account.
Wow.
I didn't know what to do with it. I knew how to save money. From growing up poor, it taught me how to save money. But you can't save your way to wealth. Right. And I didn't understand that. Right. And eventually what ended up happening was I ended up losing the money because I didn't know what to do with it. So literally it took me several years because I started out in the IT when the IT boom happened in the late 90s, made a lot of money, but I ended up losing it because I was just financially illiterate and lost all the money due to the fact, people put me in bad investments and all that type of stuff. So financial
$1 million.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Now it took me about 5 to 7 years to lose it all, but
Still.
I lost it all. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
like a $200,000
But I'm glad I did.
loss
I'm
per
glad
year.
I did though, because it taught me the
Right,
value
for
of
sure.
money. Yeah.
Yeah, I tell everybody, because I'm an accountant, right? I'm not a CPA though.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But
yeah.
I am an accountant. So I tell a lot of people who I have helped to like get to like their first good job, go through college and get to their first, decent, career. They all like, yo, I'm gonna do all these things right. I say, listen, you're gonna mess up some money.
Yes.
First of all, we all do.
Yes.
It's okay to mess some money up.
Yes.
Just learn your lesson and
Right.
stop messing it up. Right.
Right.
But everybody's like, no, I promise you, I'm gonna eat ramen noodles. I'm gonna, but no, of course they go get the Escalade and and all of that. But get that out of your system and then start doing some smart things. But we all got to go through it.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, failure is part of the process, right?
Yeah.
You got to fail. The old saying is fail fast and fail forward, right? So don't be, I tell people don't be afraid to fail, because you got to fail. That's why if you are going to get into business, I tell people to start getting into business early. Even if you're working a job, just have a side hustle, a business for yourself. If I don't care if it's network marketing, although people shun network marketing, but I participated in network marketing years ago, and it taught me how to deal with rejections. It taught me the sales game. It taught me how to sell, even though I didn't make a lot of money in it. It certainly taught me the things that has now helped me to run my businesses now. So start early. It's never too late to just start a business and just be prepared that you are going to fail at first. Because we are going to fail at something.
Gotcha. So, okay. Now, you chose two high-paying areas, IT and finance.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Was that by design, or
Yeah.
you just naturally, or did you say, where the money at? In finance
Yeah.
and
No.
IT, so let's go there.
No, my background is in IT. I graduated, my degree is in IT. So naturally I gravitated to that when I got into government contracting, because that's what I knew was IT. And as a government contractor, what I do is I just sell IT hardware and software to the government. So I don't, we have some contracts where we have individuals that are on the ground doing work for the government, deploying or implementing these solutions. But and I say that because even though I'm trained in IT moves so fast, you can't be, knowledgeable about everything that happens in IT. Right. So I say that to say that people shouldn't get discouraged by that, because I don't know everything about IT. Yeah. But because I do know and understand how to get the stuff that the government needs, right? The solutions and the products and services. So yeah.
So this is about to stop. So we're gonna have to come back.
Yep.
And we're gonna continue this for a little bit longer. But you guys stay tuned. We're gonna come back with another video with Tim. Right now you're watching Casino Is the Name. Like, share, comment, subscribe. We out.
Hey, yo.
I was always focused on the money. I started with nothing. I was born to be an entrepreneur. I'm a real estate investor. Had my own trucking authority. Multiple college degrees. Ex-military. I'm an author. Motivational speaker. Not to mention I'm an accountant. But with all the things that I've done, it was government contracts that truly made me rich. Yo, what's going on right now? You're watching Casino Is the Name, and if you wanted to know how I started my trucking business, I have an ebook called Big Shot, Hot Shot Volume 1, Own Your Trucking Authority. It's a great book, 5-star reviews. The link will be in the description below. Go get that. Yeah.
Beat me up, Scotty.
Me and her together, we just count it up. Money on my mind, I can't get enough. Don't play with my money, you don't want no beef. Cause I come from the bottom, I come from the street. When she first saw me, she said, who is that? When a man saw me, he called me a threat. I'm the one that really live with a rap. They ain't never did it, they ain't really trap. You say you wanna be successful? Well, what's stopping you? Can't nothing stop you from being successful except for you. You standing in your own way. I came from the bottom. I ain't know nothing but the grind. You can't tell me nothing about that. I caught the bus at Basin Street Projects in Tallahassee, Florida. You hear me? I used to think $1 million would last me my whole life. I'd have made that and spent that. $1 million ain't enough. There are hedge fund managers making $1 million an hour. You know, it's crazy, right? It's money everywhere. It's money in everything. I want to help you. Start your business today. Come join my royal family. Subscribe to Casino Is the Name.